Leonardo DiCaprio became the face of one of the biggest movies in history, and yet, he's never actually watched it. Almost 30 years after Titanic turned him into a global icon, Leo casually revealed that he's never sat through the film that defined an entire generation. And the reason behind it is a lot deeper than people think. The surprising confession came during a recent Actors on Actors conversation, where Leo admitted he doesn't really watch his own movies. It wasn't said dramatically or for attention, just a matter-of-fact statement that caught everyone off guard. For fans who grew up watching Titanic on repeat, the idea that Jack Dawson himself has never experienced the full story feels almost unreal. But for Leo, this wasn't about avoiding the film, it was about what that moment represented in his life. When Titanic was released, no one truly understood what was about to happen. Even Leo didn't. He was just 22 years old, starring in what he thought was simply a big movie. But very quickly, it became something else entirely. The film wasn't just successful, it became a global obsession. People tried to warn him that it was about to be the biggest movie ever made, but at the time that scale didn't fully register. And once it did, everything changed. Overnight, Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't just an actor anymore. He became the heartthrob of the late 90s. His face was everywhere. The attention was constant, intense, and inescapable. Watching Titanic now wouldn't just mean revisiting a movie, it would mean reliving the exact moment his life stopped being normal. For Leo, distancing himself from the film was a way to move forward instead of staying frozen in that overwhelming chapter. But that fame wasn't wasted. Instead of leaning into safe, romantic roles, Leo did the opposite. He used the attention from Titanic as leverage. Suddenly, studios were willing to finance darker, riskier, R-rated projects, films he'd never been able to make before. He deliberately chose unconventional characters and unpredictable stories, slowly reshaping his image from teen idol to serious actor. And that decision would define the rest of his career. Still, that massive success came with one lingering what if. Because of Titanic, Leo had to pass on Paul Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights. At the time, he wanted to do both films, but it simply wasn't possible. Years later, he openly admitted that decision stuck with him, not as regret, but as a reminder of how timing can quietly alter creative paths. And then, nearly 3 decades later, the story came full circle. Leo finally teamed up with Paul Thomas Anderson in one battle after another, fulfilling a dream that had been delayed for years. The project wasn't nostalgic or sentimental, it was layered, unpredictable, and emotionally grounded. At its core, it focused on a father trying to reconnect with his daughter, reflecting just how much Leo himself has evolved since the
Titanic era.
So when people hear that Leonardo DiCaprio has never watched Titanic, it's easy to see. It is shocking. But in reality, it wasn't rejection. It wasn't denial. It was survival. Instead of living in the shadow of the moment that made him famous, Leo chose to keep moving forward. And sometimes, the chapter that defines you the most is the one you don't need to reread to know how powerful it was.